What is the biggest con of Turo? Hey guys, it's George here with Car Rental Coach. Today I'm at the car lot with John, my rental car manager. We're answering all of the most popular questions that we've received in regards to running a Turo fleet and behind the scenes of a car rental operation. Today I'm with John, our car rental manager, and he's going to help me answer the questions from you guys. All right, John, you ready to get started here?
Let's get inside the literal body of a car.
So we're at the lot right now. I'm with John, who's the car rental manager of our 50 plus Turo fleet. And right now we're going to go through the most popular questions that you've actually asked. And John's going to answer most of them because he is an expert in the field.
I am.
All right, John. So first question, can you start by telling us about your role as the car rental manager?
Yeah, sure. So it's part of my day-to-day operations to manage the fleet, handle our guests, deal with their check-ins, ensure the vehicles are in good working order, drive them, maintain them, be it physically, mechanically, internally, or otherwise.
That makes sense, John. So that does sound like a lot. What do you consider the most critical aspect of managing a car rental operation?
Well, one of the biggest aspects is customer service because that's just your pure word of mouth, how you get repeat business and how you continue to grow your fleet and build those good, loyal, repeat customers.
How do you ensure your team provides excellent customer service?
Well, communication is key, right? I mean, if there's something that I don't know about or I don't know exactly how to fix or repair, being able to reach out to the other individuals in our team is critical, fast, and it's important to get a good, clear response along with my, detailed instructions of what's going on.
What else besides that do you do to make sure customers are satisfied with their Turo bookings or just our car rental clients in general with private rentals?
A lot of it is responsivity, right? So people want to have sort of an immediate answer, especially when there's something wrong. So being there right away for them and also sort of adding that personal touch. Even though we do remote pickups and drop-offs, we still like to check in with our guests in person. Always at the very least give them a phone call and say, hey, thanks for booking with us. Here's our check-in process. There's our check-out process. Let us know if you have any questions.
So, John, earlier today, I actually saw you help load up a customer's luggage into their car. Do you think doing those extra touches makes a difference and puts you a step ahead of the competitors?
Oh, without a doubt. That's what we call making a mountain out of a molehill. It's when you take something very small, just as even say helping a customer with their luggage, and trust me, it makes all the difference in the world. You'd be surprised how far something small goes.
That makes sense, John. So you manage over 50 vehicles right now. How are you handling vehicle maintenance and ensuring everything is in tip-top condition with that many cars?
So we use a variety of tracking programs, software and otherwise, that help us ensure that not only are we routinely maintaining the vehicles, but we're ensuring quality maintenance and then obviously interior security at all times.
So, John, we're in a car that came back right now. Tell me what's going on because I smell something.
Yeah, so this is an unfortunate example of a poor rental return. This vehicle was actually out for about a month with a previously good guest, but this time it seems that some balls have been dropped. The vehicle to me very clearly seems smoked in, and it's got a lot of nasty stains, some animal hairs, things like that are going to help us get not only a smoking but a cleaning fee as well.
Well, that sounds like great news to me, John, because that's a $150 smoking fee, $150 cleaning fee, and that sounds like $300 to me coming our way.
Indeed.
All right, John, since we're speaking about the financial side, how do you manage pricing the vehicles with over 50 to make sure that we're not only maximizing utilization with the fleet, but also making sure we're charging the most we can for each vehicle to maximize profitability at the same time?
Well, so like most businesses, you should definitely know your operating costs. You should know what you need to rent your vehicles at in order to, just stay profitable and stay operatable. Those are some key aspects. For me, a lot of it does do with drive and demand. I like to do a lot of market research on what other vehicles in our area are booking and priced at, and then try to make sure that we're always competitive, appropriately pricing our similar makes and models. On top of that, a lot of it has to do with supply and demand. If I come in and I have a lot of vehicles in my lot that aren't moving, I sometimes need to lower my prices a bit further than I'd like just to try and get some movement.
Makes sense, John. What advice would you give to someone aspiring to become a car rental manager or staff their own car rental business?
Definitely have systems in place that are going to make things as easy and seamless as possible for you, depending on the number of cars you have. If you only have a couple of cars, it shouldn't be too difficult realistically to manage, but the bigger and the more that you grow, the more vehicles that you add to your fleet, well, the more help that you're going to need, the better parties and vendors that you're going to want to be very closely partnered with to ensure that not only are you keeping your costs down, you're keeping your maintenance time down, and you're keeping your vehicles essentially available and on the road as much as possible.
We do this every single day of our lives. We stay up to date on the newest and latest news when it comes to Turo, get around hire car and private rentals. We are constantly learning, improving systems, and getting better and better every day. And we're happy to announce that we're taking clients right now at carrentalcoach.com. So you can fill out our quick 60-second survey and see if you qualify to work with us. Right now, we've had over 200 people complete the program, and we are so excited to bring more of you guys on. So go to carrentalcoach.com, fill out that quick survey, and now we're going to get back to John and learning some more. And remember, guys, we will blow up your business. John, how does technology play a big role in our car rental operation?
No, it's very critical for you to have important data systems in place, mainly through, I would say, like an Excel or at least some sort of tracker to ensure not only are you properly tracking your costs, your maintenance requests, but also even like some of the smaller things, right? We use easy passes, and just to ensure, have that added layer of security that we're properly charging everything out. I have an added spreadsheet where I just export all of our tolls on usually a monthly basis, just because sometimes there's a bit of a lag, so you want to give it some time, and just make sure that they've all been properly invoiced and paid.
That makes sense. John, is there a particular car here that you've connected with on an emotional way? The only reason we say that, guys, a lot of people tell us they're upset when the cars get totaled and stuff, so I just wanted to see if there was a particular car that meant something to John and the fleet.
No, unfortunately, I don't know. It's hard to say, right? There's all these cars that
All right, guys, of course we don't have any emotional connection with any of these cars. These cars are put on the app and on the road to make money, and they get totaled often, but that's why we are experts at insurance. John, what is your best interaction you've ever had with a customer?
Very few and far in between. You will get those diamonds who will actually take immaculate care of the car and sometimes even bring it back to you in better condition than would you put it out in. So those are the few. They're not very often. They're one in, 20 plus, maybe, sometimes even rare. But those are the good ones.
Now, John, the more fun question to ask, what is the worst experience you've ever had with a guest? And let's give them some details.
I've had customers call me way after their trip ended, threatening me, sending me threatening messages, saying they're going to come down with police, all kinds of things. I've even had a grandmother call me one time, over a charge or something. Sometimes these people get ridiculous, sometimes they get nuts, but you just laugh about it later, I guess.
Give us some details. What's the worst thing someone said to you while doing this job?
Nothing really that terrible overall comes to mind. Just some people say, "Oh, are you okay with this? Do you feel comfortable with this?" And you'd say at the end of the day, "Hey, sorry you smoked in a car and you don't like the fact that you got charged for it."
What is the biggest lie a customer's ever told you when renting the car?
It was a hit and run. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Everybody that gets into damage will say that it was a hit and run. At least 75 to 90% of them do.
How important do you think it is to learn the skill of how to speak with tow truck companies and tow yards and lots in this business?
Oh, critical. Those guys are a different breed. They honestly are quite literally different humans at times. So just kind of knowing how to interact with them, kind of get to their level and interact appropriately is key and critical.
Has any guest ever offered you a tip or any sort of compensation for your exceptional customer service?
I had some woman say she was going to bring me like gumbo or jumbo or something like that one time, but she never did, so.
No jumbo? Or it's gumbo, right? Yeah, gumbo, not jumbo. I really don't know. I think it's a New Orleans thing. John, I know we've recently had some applicants for a full-time detailer. What are some things that you look at when looking at applications to make sure that this person will be a good hire?
Well, simply put, the name kind of says it all, right? It's a detailer. It's kind of like hiring a sandwich artist for Subway, right? It's pretty straightforward what you're going to be doing. You're going to be creating beautiful crafts of art out of pieces of bread, lettuce, and tomato. Or in our instances, paying attention to details and making sure the cars are appropriately clean. Ultimately, too, I think we're looking for someone that can hopefully step up and maybe even run a subdivision of their own one day. But it all depends on their abilities, their growth, and their skill set, right? But ultimately, we're looking for someone as far as, detailing, right? The one of the essence parts of running a Turo business, cleaning cars, is just paying attention to those small details, making sure that the car looks the same for every guest, nice, clean, fresh, and one of the best promises you can offer them.
What are some red flags that you notice when looking at applicants, just based off their resume alone?
Well, I mean, this isn't necessarily a job you need some kind of fancy college degree for, obviously, or anything. So, it's just, it's hard work. It's long work per se, even from sometimes it's not necessarily glamorous. So, you're looking for someone who just really wants to work hard, kind of earn an honest pay, and, kind of has an enjoying amount of simplicity and simple work, kind of.
What is the most difficult part about being a car rental manager?
Some of the hardest parts probably is just the hours, right? In order to run this many vehicles very successfully, I could just be like some people that I've seen where, I'm 9 to 5, right? Monday through Friday, maybe even Saturday, 10 to 4, and then Sunday I don't even do pickups or drop-offs. But that would really limit your availability, limit your blockings, or limit your booking, sorry, and ultimately hurt your bottom line. So we run a really open flexibility of 7 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. So essentially a guest can book a vehicle anytime within those hours. So it just kind of always requires you to be ready to go at a moment's notice. It kind of always feels like, someone's looking over your shoulder. You got to be ready to go for a booking that could happen at a moment. Luckily, we get an hour advance notice, but, that's probably the hardest part.
What is your favorite part about being a car rental manager?
It's also maybe the other side of that, right? There are some days where they're much easier than others, and I can take a lot of time to, answer some good questions and, help my friends out or anything. But, that's sort of the double-edged sword, right? Is the flexibility and the openness of the hours that also can be a drawback and a benefit.
What is the biggest con of Turo?
Sometimes is the inconsistency of support staff on their end. I remember having to speak to a woman recently even about a 1-star rating that we needed removed simply from a guest who stole a vehicle that we had to have recovered. And even just the split second of her saying, well, it's a rating, a 1-star, I can't do anything about that. It gets you a little like, oh, come on, man. Just look right there and see that it's a stolen vehicle and that's why they're leaving a 1-star rating. So the inconsistency in those support agents can be sometimes frustrating, but that's one of the bigger things.
What is your favorite part about Turo?
Well, it's just a really kind of great, fun platform. It takes marketing off of someone who has a fleet of so many odd vehicles. There's no need to go out and put signs up or even digitally advertise, hey, come rent a car here. They handle a lot of that. So it takes a lot of that burden off of you, and it makes it a lot easier to just focus on your vehicles and your guests.
So, John, we're both going to the Power Host Summit here in Arizona in about a month. What are you most excited for about the event?
Well, it'll be really nice to meet with other larger hosts. We're like the biggest host in Pittsburgh, so there's not a lot of...
John, we're not like the biggest host in Pittsburgh. We are the biggest host in Pittsburgh. Not to be cocky, but we actually are, and we're very proud of that.
That is true. I was just trying to be somewhat fair, but yeah.
And I was just messing with you.
Yeah. So it'll be nice to see other larger sized hosts because I know there's a couple of guys out there that have, I want to say, over 10,000 some odd trips. So if we see them, speak to them, see how they do their operation, that'll be really interesting.
Yep, and hope to learn some things from some hosts that are even bigger than us at the event. And we're going to bring that information to you guys at carrentalcoach.com. All right, John, behind us are a lot of the fluids that you use on a daily basis. Give us a quick breakdown.
Yeah, so this is kind of a utility room that we have in here. It holds a variety of just common use things you're going to need in the auto industry. Batteries, gasoline, oils, coolants, various fluids, brakes, transmissions, otherwise. And then just a couple of neat tools, like say you ever lock your keys inside of the vehicle. Well, we've got a break-in toolkit for just that purpose.
Yeah, tell us about the most important fluids you need to have on deck. Walk us through.
So here we've got engine oil. Critical fluid, something you never want to be out of or have your car run out of. You can blow engines really quickly and easily. Not something I've ever done, and not something I plan to let happen anytime soon.
It did happen to me. If you guys watched the video about the private rental, I did have somebody blow up a car and learn to check in with guests on longer trips now.
Fluid I have much more experience with myself, however. Coolant, I had a couple of cars myself who had severe coolant leaks. I always basically had to carry a jug of this around or fill it up with water. Something also you really want to keep on you.
What else we got, John?
You got your brake fluid, very important as well. This is not something that, again, I've had too many issues with per se, because if you're going to have brake issues, they're going to usually be a lot more severe than just being maybe, say, out of fluid.
All right, John, and what do we got over here?
You've got your variety of different battery packs, sizes, shapes, and charges, just designed to fit a couple of different styles and vehicles. Really simple thing to do, actually, to be able to change a battery. It's almost quite literally, I would say, as simple as changing a tire. I'd say it's simpler than changing a tire, because for that you need a jack and another couple things. But really, it's not too difficult to do basic maintenance on your own vehicles.
How often have you had to change batteries yourself?
It really just depends on the vehicle. You want to make sure that there's not any potentially parasitic draws that could be affecting it, but it really just depends on mileage, how long it's run. I could say maybe best case is going to be 2 some odd years if you get a good battery. Worst case, maybe 6 months. Sometimes, around then, maybe a year.
All right, and John, tell them about this because you have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah, so this is a popular brand, Armor All, and a very common product that we use to deodorize our vehicles. This product is actually a odor bomb. So you'd actually pull this little lever here. It's going to start a continuous trigger reaction. It's just going to basically empty the can of all the fancy-pantsy deodorizing chemicals, and try to basically make the vehicle smell fresh again.
And John, when you use a smoke bomb, do you have to keep the car running?
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry for not mentioning. So when you're running one of these guys, you're going to want to put it in a central location, all the windows up, fan vents on high, open, and running the car on a recirc.
Perfect. All right, guys. So one thing I have to say when hiring, John was the reason we were actually able to scale to over 50 cars. Without John, I would not be able to do this business the way I have. So when making hires, there's very, very important decisions to be made. To be the most profitable, you can do the work yourself, so you're able to pay yourself and keep a certain amount of cars. But if you ever want to expand past that, you're going to have to take a pay cut to start until you get over a certain amount of cars. And really, to get to 50 and not having to do everything yourself, you're going to need a solid right-hand man that can actually do the rental management for you. Rental managers are very few and far in between where you'll find somebody that's actually quality. So over the past 4 years, I've had 3 different employees, all starting as detailers, but then trying to give them management positions as time went on. And each one of them failed me for different reasons, except for one of them was actually great. She just ended up going to college and had to leave the area. But I've had employees steal from me. I've had employees not do a good job, but lose their work ethic, lack consistency. But I was lucky that I have John here, who's actually a childhood friend of mine. We both went to Penn State together. He went for food science, I went for finance, and he was able to step in as the actual manager of this operation. And as we grow, John's going to get some cars himself, rent them on the platform, and we're going to continue to hire other employees to help automate the process. So John, tell me about really your overall experience in the Turo business and if you recommend it to others.
Yeah, so it's definitely a crazy, fun, wild ride. It's very stressful, it's high intensity, so you have to be prepared for a lot of hard work. But it can be very rewarding. Like as I'd mentioned, you get a lot of flexibility. You can sort of set your own hours. Sometimes you get those very beautiful days that provide like sort of a natural extra day off, if you will. But yeah, it's a fun, hard work, rewarding process like most things in life are and should be.
Do you recommend other people do Turo?
Yeah, so there's, obviously a variety of options. Turo is going to be the biggest one, kind of, especially with their latest big move to allow courier services like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and the like. So that really kind of has established them. Now with other competitors like Uber themselves maybe getting into the market, that'll definitely change things up for sure. But right now I think it's a great time. It's kind of like Airbnb when it first started out, and it gave a lot of good people some successful tools to build a good wealth of fortune.
Who out there shouldn't do Turo?
If you just aren't super motivated or willing to kind of go the extra mile, if you don't have good customer service experience and skills, those are going to play big factors, and those are going to hinder your operation totally. You can not know a lot about cars, that's fine. You can not know a lot about cleaning cars or, a lot of other things, but if you know how to, provide good customer service, that's going to go a long way.
All right, guys, now that concludes our interview with John Montalbano, car rental manager and business partner.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
And as always, make sure you guys go to carrentalcoach.com, fill out our quick 60-second survey, and see if you qualify to work with us. See you guys in the next one. Now, let's go rent some cars and maybe get some coffee.